Get out of here. How dare you try to overshadow my grandson on his special day? My mother-in-law's shrill voice cut through the air, drowning out the sound of children's laughter and the upbeat party music. I froze in place, holding Oliver's birthday gift, as confusion swept over the crowd of guests. "This is Oliver's birthday party, Nancy," I said, trying to remain calm. Marcus's celebration was last weekend. But Nancy was already in full meltdown mode. Her face turned bright red as she jabbed a finger at me. "Don't pretend you didn't do this on purpose, Emma. You've gone all out with this party just to make Marcus's seem insignificant. The decorations, the cake, you're trying to one-up me." I glanced around at the simple setup in our backyard. Modest blue balloons, a homemade "Happy 5th Birthday Oliver" sign, and a cake I'd baked myself. Just a week ago, Nancy had hosted an extravagant circus-themed bash for Marcus with professional performers and a 3-tier cake from a high-end bakery. "Mom, stop it," my husband James said, stepping in between us. "This is Oliver's moment. You're causing a scene." Nancy glared at him. "Of course you're siding with her. She's turned you against me and your own niece. I won't stand for this." She stormed to the gift table, flinging presents into a pile. "These gifts are probably better than what Marcus got, huh?" Trying to make him feel bad about his presents, she shouted, now nearly screaming as parents instinctively pulled their children closer. "Nancy, please," I pleaded, seeing Oliver's lip quiver. "The kids are scared." "Good," she hissed, knocking over a stack of party favor bags. "Maybe now you'll understand how Marcus felt when you stole his moment. Everyone out. This party's over." Guests started gathering their children quickly, throwing us apologetic glances. My sister Lisa, who'd been quietly snapping pictures during the party, met my gaze and gave a subtle nod. I didn't understand the significance of it then, but I would soon. As people hurried out, Nancy's tirade grew more dramatic. She grabbed the birthday cake, the one I carefully decorated with Oliver's favorite superheroes, and hurled it in the trash. "Mom," James finally shouted, his patience gone. "That's enough." "No, it's not enough," she screeched. "Look at all this: bouncy castles, face painting, games. Last weekend, Marcus only had acrobats, a magician, and a petting zoo. You're clearly trying to top me." I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of her accusation, which only made her angrier. She turned to the remaining guests, mainly family members who hadn't left yet, and began spinning a tale about how I was constantly jealous of Marcus, how I'd always tried to compete with her parenting, and how I was driving a wedge between her and James. Through it all, Oliver clung to me, his tears silently streaming down his face. His birthday was being ruined right before his eyes, and there was nothing I could do. "I want every single photo of this disaster deleted," Nancy demanded, pointing at the phones and cameras. "No one better post pictures of this miserable attempt to overshadow my grandson's perfect celebration." That's when Lisa stepped forward, phone in hand. "Actually, Nancy, I think you might want to see these photos first." Her tone was calm, but there was a quiet confidence that made Nancy hesitate. "What photos?" Nancy snapped, but I noticed her expression flicker with doubt. "The ones I've been taking all afternoon," Lisa replied smoothly, "including a few interesting shots from before the party started. Would you like to see them now, or should we wait for everyone else to join in?" Nancy's face shifted between pale and red, then pale again. "You're bluffing," she said, but her voice lacked its usual bite. Lisa smiled, a smile that was both sweet and dangerously knowing. "Am I? Should we find out?" The tension in the air was so thick you could practically taste it. What had Lisa captured? What did Nancy want to keep hidden? As I held my sobbing son close, I realized that this disaster of a birthday party was about to take a very unexpected turn. "We're leaving," Nancy announced abruptly, grabbing her purse. "Marcus, come on. We don't need to stay where we're not wanted." She dragged her confused grandson toward the gate, pausing only to shoot one last venomous glare at me. "This isn't over, Emma. Not by a long shot." But as Lisa caught my eye again, still wearing that quiet, knowing smile, I had a strong feeling Nancy was wrong. This wasn't over, and it wasn't going to end the way she thought it would. Once the house was empty and Oliver finally fell asleep, exhausted from the tears, I sat down with Lisa and James at the kitchen table. The remnants of the ruined party lay scattered across our backyard: deflated balloons, abandoned presents, and the birthday cake that now sat in the trash. "Show us," James said quietly, his voice tense with frustration. "What did you capture?" Lisa pulled out her phone and began scrolling through the photos. "I noticed something strange when I arrived early to help set up," she explained. Nancy was already here, which was odd because she had made a big deal about being too busy to help. The first photo showed Nancy at the gift table, carefully opening presents and inspecting them. The next shot revealed her removing price tags from more expensive gifts and replacing them with cheaper alternatives. She was tampering with the presents, I said, my stomach churning with disgust. "That's not all," Lisa continued, swiping to the next set of photos. There was Nancy going through the party favor bags, removing premium items and replacing them with less expensive ones. One photo even showed her deliberately cutting the power cord to the bounce house. "I watched her sabotage nearly every part of the party," Lisa said, her tone grim. "She even poked holes in most of the balloons so they deflate slowly." James put his head in his hands. "I can't believe it. My own mother." "But there's more," Lisa said, her voice hardening. "Look at the timestamps on these photos compared to Nancy's social media posts from Marcus's party last week." She opened Nancy's Facebook page, showing us the lavish circus-themed party she'd thrown for Marcus. But as we examined the details, something didn't quite add up. The entertainment company she tagged, Lisa pointed out, it went out of business 2 months ago, and the bakery she claimed made the cake. They've never heard of her order. Most of these photos are either staged or heavily edited. She lied about Marcus's party to make Oliver's look inferior. I realized as everything started to make sense. She probably spent a fraction of what she claimed, but made it look extravagant on social media. James stood up, pacing the room. "All these years I thought I was being paranoid. The way she always pitted the boys against each other. How Oliver's accomplishments always seemed less impressive than Marcus's. She's been playing this game from the very start," Lisa confirmed. "I'd had a gut feeling for a while, which is why I began keeping track of everything. Today was just the first time she slipped up enough to be caught red-handed." I glanced upstairs, thinking of Oliver. How crushed he'd been when his own grandmother ruined a day meant just for him. How many other moments had she tainted without us even realizing? How many times had she quietly pitted him against his cousin to make him feel small? "What are we supposed to do with this?" I asked, eyes locked on the incriminating images on Lisa's phone. Lisa responded without hesitation. "First off, I've already saved these to the cloud. Nancy can't erase or deny what's here." "I want to confront her," James said, voice tight with frustration. "She needs to be held accountable." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "We have to be careful. Nancy's manipulative. If we go to her privately, she'll just twist it into something else." "So what do we do instead?" I asked. That sly smile returned to Lisa's face, the same one she wore when she had a plan brewing. "Well, she did create quite the scene today. Plenty of witnesses. And let's not forget, she lives for social media attention." I caught on quickly, and the idea sparked something inside me. "You're suggesting we go public?" Lisa nodded slowly. "Nancy's worked hard to build this image of herself as the perfect grandma. Maybe it's time people saw what's really behind the curtain." James crossed his arms. "She's always cared more about appearances than actual family. This would hit where it hurts." "But first," I said, taking a deep breath, "we need to make things right for Oliver. He deserves a birthday that's actually about him." Lisa beamed. "Already taken care of." I documented all the original gifts before she messed with them. I even made a list of everything she tampered with. Plus, a few of the other parents have started organizing a makeup party for him. For the first time since this mess began, I felt something shift. Hope. Nancy tried to ruin Oliver's celebration, but what she didn't count on was that we weren't alone. We had real friends, people who believed in truth over appearances. "Tomorrow," James said, resolute, "we start making this right." Lisa nodded, carefully organizing her files. Nancy wanted to be a social media star. Well, she's about to get the spotlight she never expected. As we planned late into the night, I couldn't help but feel the irony. Nancy had spent years tearing others down for the sake of her image, and now that same obsession would be her downfall. Morning came, and with it, a storm. Lisa shared a carefully curated post in our neighborhood Facebook group, a collection of photos showing Nancy's deliberate sabotage, avoiding any shots that included the children. Within hours, it exploded. Comments and shares flooded in. I always thought something was off about how she treated Oliver, one mom posted. Remember the school play? She kept pushing Marcus into the spotlight. Another chimed in. Explains the soccer trophy incident. She accidentally broke Oliver's, but Marcus's is still front and center in her house. Nancy's facade of being the loving, supportive grandmother fell apart quickly as people came forward. Teachers, distant relatives, and other parents, all with their own stories. Of course, she tried to defend herself. Her response was a rambling Facebook post, full of excuses and vague accusations of being misunderstood. But Lisa wasn't done. I didn't just take pictures, she told us. I had my phone recording when she was giving Marcus instructions before the party. The audio was crystal clear. Nancy's voice, cold and calculating. Make sure everyone thinks your party was better. Don't let Oliver enjoy himself. He needs to learn his place. Once that video hit the internet, the backlash was instant. Her phone lit up with calls from furious family members to confused friends. Parents from Marcus's class began resending invitations. Even her beloved bridge club asked her to take some time away. You're both her grandsons, her sister shouted during a speakerphone call. How could you do this to children? But the real breakthrough came at Oliver's makeup party. It was everything his first celebration should have been, joyful, warm, and real. And during it, Marcus pulled Oliver aside. I'm sorry, he whispered. Grandma told me to be mean to you. But I don't want to be mean anymore. The two hugged, and just like that, the invisible wall Nancy built between them began to crumble. Turns out, the rivalry was never theirs. It was hers. Later, James finally confronted his mother directly. He came armed with undeniable proof of her manipulation. She tried every trick, tears, guilt, playing the victim, but none of it worked anymore. Until you own what you did and get help, James told her, unwavering, you won't be seeing either of your grandsons. Nancy, predictably, called it a conspiracy, claimed we were turning everyone against her, threatened to expose the truth. But the truth was already out there, and it spoke louder than anything she could fabricate. 6 months later, our lives are quieter, happier. Oliver and Marcus hang out regularly now, free from competition or favoritism. They're discovering they like the same video games, the same jokes, the same snacks. Nancy, she's disappeared from community events and hasn't posted online in months. Word is she's seeing a therapist, not to change, but to try and salvage what's left of her reputation. Some people just never learn. The other day, I caught Oliver flipping through photos from both birthday parties. You know what, Mom? He said with that honest, thoughtful look only kids have. I like the second party more. Everyone felt really happy, not pretend happy. Kids really do see the truth more clearly than we think. Lisa keeps the files safe, just in case Nancy ever tries to rewrite history again. But I don't think she'll need to use them. Once the truth is out, there's no putting it back in the box. Sometimes I wonder how different things could have been if Nancy had just loved both boys the same way. But then I remind myself, Oliver learned something valuable. Real love lifts you up. It doesn't push others down to get there. And for me, I realize that sometimes the strongest response isn't revenge, it's simply standing back and letting the truth do the work. Nancy destroyed her own image with her own actions. We just gave people the lens to finally see it. And that cake she threw away, the one at Oliver's real party, was even sweeter, because it was surrounded by people who truly loved and celebrated him, not people trying to use him as a pawn. Funny how the best gifts sometimes come wrapped in chaos. Ours came wrapped in truth and the chance to build something better. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay stunned.